Hi, my name is Andrew Nicholson, and the project that I did for this course was the fiber integration for Crown Castle. Before we start the presentation, I'd just like to go over what will be discussed in the presentation. First, there will be a brief introduction along with the project charter and project proposal. We'll then move on to quality control plan, work breakdown structure, responsibility matrix, project schedule, resource usage, estimated costs, and then finish with the risks. I'd first like to give a little background on who Crown Castle is and what this project is for. Crown Castle is a national wireless infrastructure company working to lead the country's digital transformation. In the past, Crown Castle only operated in the cell phone tower and small cell unit sectors of the telecommunications industry. In an effort to grow their national footprint, reach a greater landscape, and diversify their product as 5G is on the rise, the company entered the fiber sector of the industry. In 2016, Crown Castle purchased a northeastern fiber company called Sunesys, followed by a few smaller acquisitions on the West Coast and regions of the country. At the time of purchase, these companies were integrated into Crown Castle's legacy accounting system, JD Edwards. In 2018, Crown Castle purchased additional fiber companies called FiberNet and Lightower. Since the purchase, Lightower has kept all accounting functions in their legacy system called Oracle. Management has decided that Oracle's system best suits the needs of Crown Castle's employees and fiber customers. This project is to integrate all fiber customer data and general ledger accounts from JD Moving on to the project charter. The purpose of the fiber integration is to combine all fiber business data into the Oracle accounting system. The success criteria is to provide a centralized location for all accounting functions to simplify and improve processes within the company. All funding will come from normal business activities of Crown Castle, as it's mainly employee salaries and travel. The milestone schedule can be seen in the table below. As you can see, we'll start with the baseline plan and scheduling in months 1 and 2, and then we will kick off the Sunesys portion of the project. After the Sunesys data analysis and mapping, we'll kick off the FiberNet meetings. We're intertwining the two parts of the project just for timing issues, because it will take a good bit of time to actually do the data analysis and mapping, and in between we feel that there will be enough time to kick off FiberNet as well. We'll then move to the testing, data migration, stare and compare, and reflection of Sunesys, and then FiberNet as well. The customer needs of this project are basically to have a centralized place for all accounting functions. We want a centralized place for customer accounts, as right now there are accounts in 2 separate systems, so we have to move money back and forth between the systems. We also want to provide a centralized place for payments to be sent. There's currently 2 bank accounts that our customers pay into, and we want to change that to one place and in one system to help our customers know where to send their money. The deliverables of the project: first, there will be weekly conference calls and in-person meetings. We plan to have the in-person meetings about once a month. The second deliverable will be progress reports on a weekly basis to the upper management to let them know how the project is going and what's going on. The price for the project is mainly employee salaries. It's about $85,000. There will also be some travel involved for $6,000, and then we will run a few audits that will cost about $1,000 total. Here's our quality control plan for the project. We have controls for data mapping, testing, data migration, and compare. For data mapping, data fields must be defined for both systems and used as one-to-one comparison. We'll do this through inspection, and the procedures will be to define different types of data and working alongside each other to make sure that we use the right fields. For testing, billing, invoicing, and entries must be able to perform in Oracle and JDE. We'll do this through inspection as well. And the control procedure will be to simulate the billing, invoicing, and entries in the Oracle testing environment to make sure that they will tie back to JDE. For data migration, all migrating data must be entered and removed accurately in both systems so that dollar amounts are equal. We will do this through reconciliation. The accounts receivable manager will reconcile all data migrating with backup documents. All entries will be performed abiding by normal accounting procedures and SOX controls. And then for compare, the standard is data leaving JDE system must match data being entered into the Oracle system. We will do this through audits. And for the control procedure, fiber company managers are to mine through the data for differences in both systems. Internal audit will select samples of the data to ensure accuracy. Into the work breakdown structure, Joanna will be overseeing the entire project. Under her will be Michelle overseeing Synesis and Lourdes overseeing FiberNet. Kevin will be doing the data mapping for both Synesis and FiberNet, and under him will be Jackie, who will be helping out with the data gathering. Will be doing the testing for both Synesis and FiberNet. For the data migration portion of both sides of the project, Erica will be overseeing that. Under her will be Andrew and Sophie, who will be doing the entries, and then Erica will ultimately be overseeing the reconciliation of those entries. For the compare, Michelle will be overseeing the Synesis side with Joanna and Scott assisting. And on the FiberNet side, Lourdes will be overseeing compare with Joanna and Scott assisting on that as well. Here you'll see the responsibility matrix. As mentioned in the last slide, Joanna will be primarily overseeing the entire fiber integration project. Michelle will be primarily overseeing the Synesis portion of the project, and Lourdes will be primarily overseeing the FiberNet portion of the project. Kevin will be primarily responsible for the data mapping on both sides, as well as the data field matching on both sides. Will is primarily responsible with testing for Synesis and FiberNet. Jackie will be primarily helping with the data gathering for both Synesis and FiberNet, and Kevin will be assisting her with that. Erica will be primarily overseeing the data migration and reconciliation portions of both sides. Andrew and Sophie will be primarily responsible for the entries. Andrew will be responsible for the JDE entries for FiberNet and Synesis, and Sophie will be primarily responsible for the Oracle entries for Synesis and FiberNet. Scott is primarily responsible for billing for both companies. Everyone also has some secondary responsibilities that they will all assist each other based off of this table. This project started on Monday, July 1st, 2019, and with a finish date of Tuesday, March 17th, 2020. We'll first start with the Synesis side of the project with data mapping, data field matching, and data gathering. As we start the testing for Synesis, we will also kick off the FiberNet data mapping, data field matching, and data gathering. Synesis will continue to move through with data migration. The reconciliation, JDE entries, and Oracle entries will all be done at the end of November 2019, and the compare will begin right away with reconciliation and billing happening in December 2019. Starting in January 2020, testing will begin for the FiberNet side of the project. We'll then move on to the data migration with reconciliation, JDE entries, and Oracle entries happening in February, and then the compare happening at the beginning of March. Here's the resource usage table for the project. Kevin has the most hours, as his responsibilities will take the longest, with 544 hours total. Jackie will have 528 hours total doing the data gathering for both sides of the project. Will, doing both sides of testing, will work for 352 hours. Erica with 304 hours and responsible for the reconciliation. Andrew and Sophie both have the same amount of hours doing this same entries, but on different sides of the system. So Andrew will be doing the JDE entries, Sophie will be doing the Oracle entries. Joanna has 106 hours helping out with the overall reconciliation at the end, as she is overseeing the entire project. And then Scott will have 16 hours of work with billing for both FiberNet and Synesis. There will also be travel expense involved, mainly with Kevin going back and forth, helping Will with the data matching and testing. And there will also be 4 audits that will be purchased for $250 each. So when the entries are performed, we can ensure that everything is tying back to what it should be. The cost for the project will be laid out on the next 2 slides. Most of the costs will be based on salaries of the employees working on the project. Michelle, Joanna, and Lourdes will all be working at $72 per hour. Kevin, Will, Erica, and Scott will all be working at $48 per hour. And Jackie, Sophie, and Andrew will be working at $28 per hour. As I mentioned before, there will also be travel expense that we anticipate to cost a total of about $6,000, and the entry audits will be about $250 each for a total of $1,000. Continuing with estimated cost, this shows the total cost of the project at $92,568. We already started a portion of the project, so the actual cost so far has been $18,432, and the remaining cost for the project is $74,136. You can also see the breakdown of Synesis and FiberNet below as well. We have not started FiberNet yet, so there is no actual cost involved at this moment in time. Finally, for the risks involved, the main risks for the project are SOX compliance, data loss, entry error, testing reveals problems, and system crash. For SOX compliance, our biggest impact would be potential fines. The likelihood of occurrence is low, but the degree of impact is very high. The action on trigger is auditor's letter stating the violation. Erica will be responsible for overseeing this, and their response plan would be to set approval thresholds and perform all entries based on normal company and SOX policies. The next risk, data loss. We do not want to lose any account information. The likelihood of this occurrence is medium, but the degree of impact is also high. We would find this by doing reconciliations that reveal missing data. Joanna will be responsible for this, and the response plan will be to reconcile both JDE and Oracle systems to find missing data and use JDE as the original system to back up the data. Entry error. This can cause delays because we would have to re-enter information. The likelihood is also medium, but the degree of impact is pretty low. We would find this if entries do not tie to the reporting numbers. Andrew will be responsible for this, and to combat this, there will be second level reviews performed and approvals obtained before all entries. The next risk, testing reveals problems. This would cause us to have to rework the new system. The likelihood is pretty low as we anticipate the new system will work, but the degree of impact is medium because it could cause delays in the project. We would find this through testing if it revealed problems. Will be responsible for this, and we would have to find the flaws and come up with a plan for alternative options. The last risk is a system crash. This would cause a delay in the entries or testing. The likelihood is pretty low for this risk, and the degree of impact is low as well. It would delay us if the system froze, but we would just have to reboot it and proceed to immediately after the reboot. That is the conclusion of this presentation. If you have any further questions, please contact me at the email you see here on the slide. Thank you for your time.